Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we are talking about Winter Storm John, a huge ice storm that'll be impacting the central and eastern parts of the country with many different factors. We have snow, we have ice, we have thunderstorms, and we're going to take a deep dive into this storm in this video. But first, if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Now let's get right on into it. Right now I am on the Weather Channel page, and we have an article that details this storm. So, at a glance, we have a low pressure system tracks through Texas to the Great Lakes through New Year's Day. This storm will spread a wintry mess of snow and ice across parts of the plains, Midwest, and interior Northeast. The snow and ice could contribute to travel problems in some areas, and this could be very significant as some of these roads could be impassable with the amount of ice that will be on them. So, we can see here that snow, freezing, rain, and sleet from the system, named Winter Storm John by the Weather Channel, are impacting southwest and west central Texas right now, but we also have thunderstorms on this side of the low pressure. Low pressure is right over here. We have this cold front here, and there's just enough shear and rotation in the atmosphere to really get some good supercells. So the entirety of the southeast could be under high risk for some thunderstorms. Now here's the current radar. You can see we have snow on the back end of the system. Now this pink is very important. That is ice. We're going to be seeing a lot of that on the radar throughout the next few days. We have current winter weather alerts. We have winter storm warnings stretching from the Mexico border up into through San Angelo, through Oklahoma City. Also includes Kansas City. Now we also have plenty of winter weather advisories that could eventually turn over to winter storm warnings, as well as some winter storm watches that I expect to turn over to winter storm warnings here pretty soon. We also have some ice storm warnings in the upper elevations of the Appalachian Mountains. So let's look at the Weather Channel's forecast for this storm. Now this is Thursday night. This is overnight tonight, so New Orleans, I know you guys usually have a pretty big New Year's Eve celebration. Might be a little bit of severe weather for you tonight. Not the best conditions for any sort of celebration. But we also start to see that ice risk starting to pop up here. Missouri, you're going to be the epicenter of this. You could see 1 to 2 inches of ice on the ground. That would give cars little to no traction and could cause many travel problems. So if you're heading to Missouri or through Missouri, you might want to reroute or just cancel your plans in general. Now on the back end of the storm will be a very thin strip of snow. Snow is really not the big issue here. Ice is the big issue, as well as that severe weather. So in the red here is the area of greatest potential severe thunderstorms. Now, in terms of Friday, your New Year's Day, you can see many areas of the upper elevations in the Appalachian Mountains, as well as areas of the Great Lakes region could see that ice. Wintry mix, this could be either ice, sleet, or even maybe some snow mixed in with some rain from Michigan down to Oklahoma, as well as in New York and Pennsylvania. Out ahead of this storm system, could see a little bit of snow and a little bit of sleet there. Now here's the Weather Channel snow forecast through Saturday morning. You can see very thin area getting some snowfall. That includes San Angelo, Oklahoma City, Wichita, Kansas City, Chicago's even in there, Milwaukee, and then the Northeast. Real big winner is Burlington for that snowfall. Now here is the probability of ice, and this is the big one. Now, Kansas City and St. Louis, you are in a medium to high risk of receiving 1/10 of an inch of ice or more. And I've actually seen up to 2 inches of ice. Then we also have areas such as Chicago, Indianapolis, State College, Albany, in significant probabilities of getting 1/10 of an inch of ice. Now, here is the winter weather outlooks. We are currently on the probability of receiving 1 inch of snow or more. We're looking for this very deep red color, that means 95% or more. So if we go through here, you can see that that probability is really not there. That shows that there's going to be some variability in that snow and wintry precip line. That means that some of these areas, be that as it may, will probably receive some snow. Depending on when you switch over, will considerably change your snow amount. Now, once you get into the Northeast, you see those 95% get back into the picture, as the Northeast will probably have the most amount of snow in the higher elevations, as well as the interior Northeast. Let's go to our models here. So we have the NAM 3 kilometer model, which has been pretty accurate, but it's very accurate in terms of thunderstorms. So we're going to look at this here. You can see the low pressure here. We have this cold front right along here. That's where the thunderstorms are going to pop up. We also have snow in Texas. Then, as we continue to see this thing move to the north, you can see that thunderstorm risk kind of pops up in Louisiana. We have snow on the back end still in Texas. And then we start to see this red pop up. That is freezing rain, and that is the most significant part of this system. You can see the red really takes over here. Not much snow, a lot of freezing rain, especially when you get into Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. Now, in terms of that severe threat, still moving through Louisiana and Mississippi, but that starts to move east and north as well. Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama starting to get into that now. Very heavy freezing rain possible in areas of Oklahoma and Kansas. That threat moves to the north. Missouri now starting to get into that heavy freezing rain. You can see the very back end still receiving that snow. And then you start to see this start to pull up that Gulf moisture for those thunderstorms in areas like Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. Now this thing starts to move off to the east, and we get a line of thunderstorms develop over those same areas. And we get that ice shield out in front of this. Very, very little snow now. Almost all ice in terms of wintry precipitation. Now you start to get into the Northeast, and this is where things get a little bit more interesting, because this low pressure is pulling up moisture from the Gulf. It could also start pulling up moisture from the Atlantic Ocean. Now that causes some heavier rain and freezing rain in central New York, Pennsylvania, and basically all the Northeast. Then those cold temperatures clash with it. We have a high pressure right here, and that results in a pretty decent amount of snow as this thing pulls off. Now, in terms of winter weather, we have our total accumulated snowfall here. You can see that this is not showing much. Highest snow totals are in Texas. That's 11-12 inches of snow, which is still significant for southern Texas. But overall, we have this very thin area of 6+ inches of snow. So if you're in the snow, probability is that you're not going to be seeing much unless you're in this very, very small area. Then you get into the Northeast, and that area expands as that cold Arctic air is getting pulled down from that high pressure. Now, in terms of ice, and this is, again, the biggest part of this storm, you can see here, Missouri is the epicenter. This is showing up to 0.9 inches. I've seen up to 2 inches of ice. And then we have a second epicenter here in the Northeast. Areas such as New York could see a ½ an inch. Pennsylvania could see up to an inch as well. So if you're in any of these red areas, definitely get that ice melt ready, because this is coming. Now let's take a quick look. GFS kind of has this very similar, almost exactly the same as the NAM, but let's take a look here. This is when this thing moves out, 66 hours. So let's go down to what the GFS thinks for both snow and ice. So 66 hours. Again, this even shows less snow for these areas in that thin strip. Still has the most snow here in Texas, that's 11 inches, and the Northeast, that's 11 inches as well. Ice. Now, for ice with this system, the GFS is showing pretty low amounts still in Missouri and Kansas, but in the Northeast, it's showing a wider area up to New Hampshire, but it also shows some significant amounts, 0.4 inches of ice in spots as well. European model doesn't have much, but we can look at the overall snow depth from this storm system, and you can see that there's not much. In terms of the storm system, after it moves out, maybe some snow left in more of the upper elevations, but this is going to melt away quickly. But that is all I have for the storm. Definitely a very interesting one, not in terms of snow, but in terms of ice, because ice, if it gets on the roads, even the very slightest amount, 1/100th of an inch, could cause travel problems. So if you're commuting to work on Friday, which would suck, it's New Year's Day, but definitely watch out for your forecast tomorrow as well as into the weekend. Significant icing coming. This is probably the biggest ice storm I've seen in probably the last 3 years. So definitely stay alert and stay safe. Let the crews do the thing. And that's all I have for this storm. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.